Okay, so here we are, we're back. I've added my wings. And you'll notice this wing over here, I've even brought this one back and bonded it to the surface. That's because these protrusions, when they get very thin and delicate and they're extending off of the form, they tend to get very, well, they tend to get broken. They tend to fall off and they get bumped when we're making them. We're putting all these away and we bump them with our bags. And when people don't see the actual form, if they're wrapped in bags, they just slam their work next to another person's work, and all these really delicate features get damaged. So it's better if we can keep them closer to the form, and if it's attached like this, it'll be very strong. These other wings I took and kind of curled and pushed back so they're not protruding off so far. And then if you look on the back here, you can see where I smoothed them into the surface. And when I did that, I just made sure that I was pushing this direction, and I was actually holding these. I can't really do it. Let's set this down. So I was holding these while I did it, keeping them from moving around, and just compress that clay back into the form. So this is after I added a coil. So now we've worked in pinch, we've worked in slab for these wings, and now we're going to talk about coils. You'll see that I went ahead and cut the mouth out, or excuse me, I marked off the mouth. I just used a number 2 pencil for that. I'm going to stand up here, and I'm going to use my regular old plastic knife, and I'm going to cut through the form to remove the mouth. Now this clay from my mouth is a really big piece of clay. Sorry about that. That's Popeye again. He's got lots of things to say today. I'm going to cut through there. And that's a really big piece of clay, so I should be able to come back and use that. There's nothing wrong with that clay. The only thing about removing a large mass like this is that now, instead of just having the outer surface of the form exposed to air, now you've doubled the surface area that's exposed to air. That means it's going to be drying double fast. So you have to be very thoughtful about how you wrap these up. Some people will even stuff plastic inside of the form to keep it from drying out. If there's no air in there for the clay to lose moisture too, then you're going to dry at a much slower rate. So some people will take their plastic bag and they will stick it inside. I wouldn't use a hard one like this, but you can use a softer one, and that would help clog that hole, and that will slow your drying process. Sometimes we want this to dry kind of quickly though. So now I've got this open mouth, and I'm going to turn it around and take a look at it since I haven't seen it yet. That looks pretty good. And this is great. I see my uniform wall thickness, and I can add, let's kind of hold it up and show that. And so now I can come in and add teeth. Now on my my planning page, I indicated that I needed canines, incisors, and I needed molars because this creature was omnivorous. So it needs it all. It's just like us. It needs all those teeth. So now I'm going to take this coil. I've rolled out a coil, and this is just a piece of clay that I squeezed in my hands, rolled like this, and then with even pressure rolled on my table surface. Like that. So now I've got a coil, and I can do all kinds of things with this coil. The first thing I'm going to do with it is I'll use my knife. I'm going to cut some molars. So these molars are they're going to be flat teeth. They're like the ones that we have in the back of our mouth. 2, 3, 4. And they'll distort a little bit, but you can mash them back flat. That's okay. Teeth are not perfectly round. Want them flat on top, round on the sides. Now these can be bonded. Would score slip and bond them into the back. I'm just pressing them there right now for fit and for speed, but you would need to make sure that you score, slip, and bond those in really well. Now for my canines, I can cut a little piece of clay. These are a little bit longer, and I can just roll the front part in my fingers like that to get a point. or there's something good outside. And now I would come in and bond those. Again, score, slip, and bond. I make you very few promises, but I will promise that if you do not score, slip, and bond, the parts will fall off. I've got a couple more of these. Put those there. And then for my incisors, I can take my coil of clay, cut it, and I'll just take those and mash them flat. My finger, and I might have to trim them a little bit. I think what I'll do with this one, it's a big wide one, I think I'll just put a mark in the center. I'll just squeeze that a little bit, use my knife to put a mark in the center so it looks like two teeth, and then I'll just score, slip, and bond that in there. So I've got some other incisors I have to handle, but that's how I'm going to work with those coils. When we come, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go attach all these pieces, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about using a coil around the mouth.